What's up, guys? It's Jay with Bearded Dad Fishing, and today we're talking about the Old Town Sportsman 120 PDL, and I'm giving you my honest thoughts and opinions on this thing. After 2 years on the water, I'm gonna tell you what I like, what I'm not crazy about, and make sure you watch to the end. I'm gonna show you my favorite feature about this here kayak. But dad joke of the day first. What do you call a happy cowboy? A Jolly Rancher. Before we jump into the boat, just real quick, if you don't know already, we have a Facebook group called Kayak Fishing Dads. It's just a small community of guys that love to go fishing, love to take care of their families, and enjoy kayaking. We're posting videos on there, we're posting, asking questions, and just getting other people's feedback. So it's a small community, but it's starting to grow. So let's jump into the boat. This is it. This is the Old Town Sportsman PDL 120. All right, this thing is mean and it is awesome. So I'll start off with that. It's not a small kayak, all right? It's 12 feet long, 36 inches wide. It weighs 87 pounds, just the hull, nothing else, okay? The drive is another 20 pounds, so you're already over 100 pounds just with that, no tackle, nothing else. So keep that in mind if you're looking at a kayak. If you don't want something heavy or you got a car top something, it's just something good to know. This kayak also does come in a 106, which is 10.5 feet long rather than 12 feet. It comes in two different colors, photic camo and ember, and both colors are pretty sweet. This is the photic camo. It's more like a teal blue that fades off into black with the orange accents. So it has the orange bungees. You know, they all have the orange drives there, the orange rails. This kayak is the newer version of what was the top water. So Old Town's top water PDL. So now it's the Sportsman 120 PDL. So there are some changes, not crazy. So honestly, if you have that one, I wouldn't trade up for this, because a lot of the stuff, the big stuff, a lot of it is the same. One thing I really like about all of Old Town stuff is that they're all made in the USA. They're made right in Maine, which is really cool. So the overall hull of the kayak is a double U hull. And what that does is that gives you extra stability on the water, make sure that you're nice and stable while you're out there. So it's talking about stability. It's one of my favorite things about it is the stability. As a big dude, 250 pounds, 6 foot tall, like that's one of the first things that was on my mind when I'm picking out one of these kayaks is how stable is this, right? I don't want to tip over. I don't want something that's shaky. So if you're looking for a kayak for a big dude, this is it. It has a 500-pound capacity, which is amazing. A lot of them, especially the cheaper kayaks, they don't get anywhere near that. So keep in mind that's 500 pounds with the kayak, with all your gear that you're bringing with you. So you want to make sure that you're not passing that threshold, otherwise you're gonna be dipping real low. So the main thing about this kayak, besides the hull and the capacity and the stability and everything, is this bad boy right here. So this is the PDL Drive. All right, so it's a prop drive. You see it right down there when I spin the pedals. All right, as opposed to the fin drives like the Hobie, Pelican has a version, that's the fins. One of the best things I love about Old Town is that they have a 5-year warranty on this bad boy right here. So if something's wrong, manufacturer error, for 5 years, they'll cover this complete prop drive unit. All right, it has the storage, a dry storage in here, right? So you keep your wallet, your phone, identifiers. It's really nifty, spot on here. The pedals, a lot of people update these pedals. I haven't felt the need to. They actually come with a foam pad, but those came off just after a couple months, so it didn't last very long. But even with that, I don't really find a need in having to replace those. I think they're just fine like that. You can switch them out with the mountain bike pedals if you so desire, and they look pretty cool with that, especially when they put the orange on there. The system is held on by these lock knobs, right? So you would just twist them off and then you could just pull your whole drive up real easy. So it's real easy to take on and off. It does not come with these spacers. These are the Navarre PDL spacers, and all that ensures is that your drive is centered perfectly instead of canted to the side a little bit, and that's going to allow some water to come in. But it does have some water seal here, so when it's down in there, you get real minimum water coming through here. If I'm sitting, I get like barely any water in there. If I'm standing, then water creeps up a little bit, but I'm talking about not even enough to wet my toes. So it's really not that big of an issue. All right, moving on from the drive, one of the things that Old Town updated on the Sportsman model versus the top water is the seat. All right, so this seat, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it is very comfortable. It has some awesome lumbar support in the back, and it's well ventilated too. So you see it has that mesh on there, because you're gonna get hot and your butt's gonna get sweaty, man. So ain't no lying about that, but it keeps it nice and ventilated, stays nice and dry. You might want to look into some seat risers. I just put a piece of 2x4 on the back and it lifts it up about 1.5 inches, but a lot of guys put some seat risers right here and it'll lift them up. So the reason I lifted mine up was to eliminate some lower back strain from when I'm pedaling. It also gives you a little bit more of, if you're shorter, it might give you a little bit more of a boost so that you can reach the pedals a little bit better. They also have front seat risers, which I didn't feel the need that I needed those, but they sell them. Again, Navarre Kayak sells all that stuff. And just a side note, dude's awesome to work with. I have a couple of his accessories and I can't talk good enough about him. I have not heard one negative thing about Nick from Navarre Kayak. So check him out if you want some of the really cool accessories he makes for Old Town kayaks. All right, so under the seat we have a center hatch, and really that's just so you can, if you have a battery in there, I have a switch system in here which I installed. I'll link the video to it above. I just installed it a couple weeks ago, but I keep my switch, it keeps everything dry in there. And same thing with this, it has a water seal. Does a great job of keeping the water from getting inside of the hull. But to be honest, I don't go in that hatch very much. I don't store any tackle or anything like that in there. I just don't really feel the need for it. But it's a nice place, again, to store your switch, your battery if it's small enough, and it fits well in there. There's also a front hatch, which I'll show you guys at the end, the inside of it. But the front hatch, really big, useful space you can use in there. As far as the rudder on the back, so this is the rudder. If I had one complaint about Old Town, this specific model is just this rudder. So while it does its job and it works, this rudder is kind of flimsy. All right, as far as if you're in a strong current or it's a really choppy, windy day on the lake, it can make turning your kayak really difficult. Sometimes you got to really hold down the rudder deployment so it's not flipping up on you, and so just so you can cut better in the water. So they do, again, sell replacements. I mean, after 2 years I haven't replaced it, so if that tells you anything, it's not that bad of an issue. I just choose to deal with it, I guess. But that would be probably one of my bigger complaints about this specific unit. But again, totally upgradable, totally avoidable, so maybe not that big of a deal. So since we're in the back here, let me show you the rear tank well. This is one of my favorite things, is this huge space that you got back here. All right, it comes with these bungees. You can fit your tackle crate, you can fit a cooler. I've seen dudes put another chair in here to have their kids fishing, and it works great. So as far as size goes, I mean, my crate goes probably to right here, and I have all this other space. I'll usually throw a cooler back there if I'm not using my behind the seat cooler. I like how the little bungee does hold down the rudder when you're not using it, so when you're in the car you don't have to worry about it flipping down from the wind or anything like that. So I did add a rail on the back, and I made a video about this as well, so I'll link it up top. So it doesn't come with the rails. The autopilots do have rails in the rear here. These do not, so you can use it for a GoPro stand or whatever you want to put back there. It does have rails on the front on either side. I think they're 16-inch rails, one over here too, so plenty of room for accessories. I use this actually for my GoPro. The other side I have my Yak Power switch on here, my magnetic dish, and my Yak Attack paddle holder that I use for my net. So the possibilities are endless when it comes to these rails. You can switch them out for aluminum rails if you decide to. Some guys like it because it's a little bit sturdier for if you're trolling and you get a big fish on, a king salmon or a lake trout or something, and you have it on there, it can and will rip up. So ask around. There's guys that troll for some big fish. If that's your deal, you want to probably upgrade to the aluminum rails just to be safe. As far as storage in your main deck area, you have 2 spots. You have one here and one over here. I don't use them a whole lot. Usually I'll put my trash in one of them, and like this one, I have my wires in here for my Yak Power port and my fish finder, so I can't really use this. I put my little line cutters in there, but I keep a lot of my tackle trays right in here. So I'll put you can fit 2 3600 boxes in here. You can also fit a couple on the bottom. Now if you can see down there, it has these little whatever molded bumps here. Not a huge fan of that. Not sure why it's there. If those weren't there, you can really put a really sweet drawer system in there to keep some stuff organized better. But either way, they're in there. Even with that said, I can still fit about 4 3600 Plano boxes in here without much issue. They just don't sit completely flush. If we walk over to the other side, you'll see it does have a cup holder for your beverage of choice, usually a big Yeti full of coffee in the morning. You have your handle on either side and your rudder deployment on your right hand side, as well as your rudder control on your left hand side. Right behind it, you'll see a front facing rod holder. So a lot of times people will complain about that. I don't know why. I actually really like that front facing rod holder, because I'll put a rod in there and it comes kind of over my shoulder, and that allows me to work on a line if I'm tying something on, changing my lures, whatever. Even when I catch a fish, first thing I do is I put my rod in that front facing one, so it's out of my way, not by my feet or anything. So I really like that option. In addition to the front facing rod holders, it has 2 rear facing ones back here. So you got one on your right hand side, one on your left hand side. The rear ones I actually use less than the front one. I use this one for my net most of the time because it's right in reach distance, right behind my chair. Now another Navarre item I have on my kayak is this mount handle. So, or this handle mount I should say. So I replaced the original factory handle on my left hand side with this Navarre one, and what it allows you to do is it allows you to put a rail mounted accessory on here. So I put my Yak Attack lock and load so I could put my fish finder in there, and it just allows it to be closer to me. You can also put a rod holder like a Yak Attack Omega rod holder if you're trolling or if you just want something closer to you. And then on that left hand side, you also have your paddle holder. Big fan of this. I do not like the little string rod holders that a lot of kayaks have because it's really unstable and kind of wobbly. So it just locks right in place. Really useful bit here. Another tidbit to mention is that all the Sportsman line come with a universal transducer mount under the bow of the boat. So it allows you, it fits any transducer, Lawrence, Raymarine, Humminbird, Garmin. It fits all of them in there. Some guys choose not to use them for the sole fact that it hangs a little bit lower than most guys want. Again, I use another Navarre product, and I swear I'm not sponsored by the guy. He's just a great businessman and makes some awesome products. But I use his Navarre scupper mount transducer mount. Scupper. I use his scupper transducer mount. So it's actually mounted, my transducer mounted right behind my PDL unit, right down here. So my transducer is actually held up about 1 inch higher than if it was on the universal mount. and it works great, keeps it up higher. It hasn't gotten any scratches or anything yet. Doesn't mean it can't, but it's a lot less likely to get scratched up if it's a little bit higher up. All right, now I'm going to show you one of my favorite things about this kayak. All right, and I've been holding off to show you guys, is this front hatch right here. All right, the reason I love it, before I open it up, the reason I love it is because it has so much space. All right, I keep all of my rods in this thing. All right, right now I have 5 rods in here, and it fits them just perfectly. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rods, y'all. All these rods, and the biggest one, the longest one being 7'2", all of them in the front hatch of this kayak. There's very few kayaks that can mimic that type of storage space. A lot of them don't have it, and even the other Sportsman lines don't have it. The autopilots don't have that front hatch space, and if I had to upgrade to one of those, it would be a hard pill to swallow to lose that space. But I mean, look at this, man. This thing goes all the way back on either side, and there's plenty of space in there. I actually keep my battery in here. When I take my rods out, I put some Velcro on the bottom here, and I put my battery, and I have my terminals right here. So there's plenty of space. Even if I put my battery in there, I'm sure I can throw my rods in there with no problem. But that is my favorite feature on this thing, like altogether, for sure. All right, so overall, my opinion on this thing, if you can't tell, this is an amazing fishing machine. All right, super stable, super spacious, a lot of storage, comfortable, and just practical from the drive to where you're sitting, from your tank well in the back, from your handles. Overall, it's just a very practical fishing machine, and I can't recommend it enough, especially if you're a dude like me and you got a little bit of meat on them bones. You want something that you're gonna feel safe and secure in, and that you're not feeling like you're gonna tip over every time you're fighting a fish. All right, I appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends. Feel free to write in the comments below if you have this kayak, what's your biggest hang-ups about it, what's your favorite things about it, and if you don't have it yet, ask me some questions. Let me know what you're thinking, and I'll do my best to be as honest as I can with you guys. And that's it for now, so peace and God bless.